0 inches your subordinate is guilty. Please forgive me, my lord. The few prefectural chiefs looked at each other and saw the bitterness and helplessness in each other's eyes. They could only speak in a low voice. Azure ancient profound bird. According to the age of the holy beast, it was equivalent to a human child. By nature, it was far from the steadiness of the other protectors. They had seen the temper of a child many times. The reason why she was able to become a protector at such a young age was said to be related to her ancestor. The domain lord of Forest Domain was a holy beast that had lived for countless of years. The azure ancient profound bird was from the same lineage as the old ancestor, so it was quite doting on the old ancestor. Thus, it became a guardian. The next time I see you guys leaving your duties, I'll tell the domain lord to dismiss all of you. Within the black gas, the azure ancient profound bird's voice was loud and clear, not caring about the face of the few prefecture lords at all. Thank you, Lord, for your forgiveness. Although they were gnashing their teeth in anger, they understood the nature of the azure ancient profound bird. Immediately, they expressed their gratitude, their faces filled with gratitude. Where are the people fighting here? 20,000 years ago, when the 4 supreme saints fought in Forest Domain, nearly half of the realms were destroyed. The domain lord had long made a rule that no heavenly sovereign or above experts were allowed to fight in Forest Domain without the holy arts. Who would dare to cause trouble here? The azure ancient profound bird's gnashing teeth sounded, and it sounded like a little girl's rude and unreasonable manner. Fortunately, most of the realms in Forest Domain were covered by forests. There were only a few prefectures near the border. Otherwise, who knew how many people would have been affected by the fight between the 4 supreme saints? It's her. This is bad. When the Xiaoao heard the azure ancient profound bird's voice from the ruins below, it shook its head helplessly and spoke in a discouraged manner. What's wrong? Xiao Yan's heart moved. He looked at the Xiaoao. Back then, the Xiaoao had followed his teacher and had fought with the azure ancient profound bird. Perhaps it knew some things about the latter. Back then, the old man and I had a great war with the people of Nether Domain in the Forest Domain. A few of the protectors were watching from afar. It was this little black bird. It rushed out excitedly even before the heavenly venerate stepped into the Forest Domain. It shouted that it was the protector of Forest Domain and wanted to stop us. If it wasn't for the protection of the domain lord of the Forest Domain, she would have turned into ashes long ago. After that, she had been holding a grudge against us. I can't believe she has such an unyielding character. Upon hearing this, Xiao Yan let out a bitter laugh. He didn't even step into the heavenly sovereign, yet he dared to interfere in the matters between saints. Was he ignorant of the immensity of heaven and earth, or was he fearless? No matter what, with this guy's character, he wouldn't give in so easily. Reporting to Master. It's Lei Xingtian and Lei Xingyun from the Lei clan. The enemies of the Lei family have come to fight them. A middle-aged prefecture master spoke carefully, afraid that he would make the azure ancient profound bird unhappy. Lei clan? The azure ancient profound bird made a sound of surprise. After a moment of silence, it said with dissatisfaction, "It hasn't been a day or two since Lei Xingtian stepped into the heavenly sovereign, right? Don't you know that the holy arts isn't allowed in the Forest Domain? Where is he? He should be dead." The middle-aged man swallowed his saliva and said uncertainly, "Dead?" Hearing this, the azure ancient profound bird spoke in surprise, but there was a hint of excitement in his tone. This time, his trip wasn't in vain. If any heavenly sovereign from the other prefectures dared to cause trouble in Forest Domain, he would definitely teach them a lesson. Forest Domain wasn't a pushover, it could be easily manipulated by anyone. While the azure ancient profound bird was talking to the middle-aged man, Xiao Yan didn't dare to stay any longer. He quietly stood up and hid his qi to the minimum. He wrapped his soul energy around his body and was about to leave this place. If the azure ancient profound bird found him, it wouldn't be easy for him to escape. Who is it? Just as he was about to raise his foot, a sharp gaze pierced through the void and suddenly shot down. It directly stared at Xiao Yan. Everything about the latter had disappeared under this gaze. Damn it! Xiao Yan quietly cursed when he saw this. Without saying anything, he stepped forward. His body swayed and appeared 100 miles away. All that was left of him was an afterimage. Trying to run. Stop right there. The azure ancient profound bird smiled complacently, and a black cloud swept across. It was like a black beam that caused a violent wind to blow. She was extremely confident in her own speed. With a flap of her wings, she could fly for thousands of miles. Even a heavenly sovereign would not be able to escape from her. When the flowing power spell was unleashed to its maximum, Xiao Yan's expression became solemn. The black cloud behind him showed no signs of retreating. The sharp qi became even more arrogant. Xiao Yan could not help but feel a headache coming on. Compared to the Star Domain Guardian, he was not afraid of the Azure Ancient Profound Bird. Although the latter was the protector of Forest Domain, he could only feel helpless when faced with the latter's speed. If he didn't have the flowing power spell, he would have been caught by the Azure Ancient Profound Bird in the blink of an eye. Although he was getting closer and closer to the border of Forest Domain, Xiao Yan's heart felt even heavier. It would take some time for him to enter the transportation array. At this rate, he would definitely fall into the hands of the former. Why is this guy running so fast? Behind him, the Azure Ancient Profound Bird was also trembling in fear. It sneered, and a trace of excitement appeared in its eyes. It had nothing better to do, so it was the perfect time to play with this guy. Damn it, this isn't going to work. In this short period of time, the two of them had already crossed nearly 10,000 miles. Numerous cities flashed past below them. Xiao Yan clenched his teeth and steeled his heart. He immediately stopped and turned around. Without saying a word, he looked at the black clouds that were rushing over from behind. Not running anymore? The ridiculing voice of the Azure Ancient Profound Bird was transmitted over. His figure was wrapped in the black cloud and he could only see a beautiful figure that was faintly discernible. I'm going back to the star field. I won't play with you anymore. He glanced at the beautiful figure in the black cloud. Veins popped out on Xiao Yan's forehead. His injuries hadn't fully recovered after the fight with Lei Xingtian, and he had been chased by the Azure Ancient Profound Bird for such a long time. All the bones in his body were trembling. If it wasn't for the huge difference in strength, Xiao Yan would have taken her blood essence and started cultivating the vermilion bird technique. The reason why he stopped was because of Xiao Yan's bet. The Star Sky Tablet was in his body, and he was being chased by the protectors of the Forest Domain. No matter how bad his temper was, he couldn't let the Azure Ancient Profound Bird kill him. Who knew if the protectors of the Forest Domain were colluding with the Star Domain Guardian? What if the Azure Ancient Profound Bird recognized the Star Sky Tablet? It wouldn't be a good thing for the Star Sky Tablet to know about the Star Domain Guardian. Fortunately, the moment Xiao Yan stopped, he could clearly sense a cold qi coming from his body. It was obvious that the Star Sky Tablet had also noticed his situation. Although it did not express it clearly, Xiao Yan's heart had calmed down a lot. When he conversed with the Azure Ancient Profound Bird, he felt more confident. Who do you think you are? It's up to you whether you want to play or not. The Azure Ancient Profound Bird subconsciously cursed, and then changed his words. I am the guardian of the Forest Domain, and I don't have time to play with you. You have broken the rules of the Forest Domain, so it won't be so easy for you to leave. Look carefully, who attacked first? Besides, Lei Xingtian is a heavenly sovereign. It's his fault for using the holy arts. I am only a monarch cultivation, so it shouldn't be a problem for me to use the holy arts. With the support of the Star Sky Tablet, when Xiao Yan spoke, there was no fear in his voice. Monarch cultivation? The Azure Ancient Profound Bird was clearly startled. It was a long while later before he became angry from embarrassment and said, You must have hidden your strength. How can a monarch cultivation defeat a heavenly sovereign? If you don't believe me, then bring me to the Forest Domain Region Master. However, if you accuse me wrongly, I must report this to the Region Lord and let all the realm guardians of the large world know that the Forest Domain's Region Lords did not obey the orders of the Region Lord and randomly captured people. At that time, the Forest Domain's Region Lord will be implicated. At Xiaoao's place, Xiao Yan had also learned about the matter of the Azure Ancient Profound Bird becoming the protector. To be able to make the Domain Lord protect himself with his own dharma, it definitely had a good relationship with the Domain Lord. There was even a possibility that the latter would become the protector of a region because of his indulgence. Under such circumstances, what he was most afraid of was definitely the discussions about the Domain Lord of the Forest Domain. The Azure Ancient Profound Bird immediately felt discouraged. The black cloud rolled continuously. It was a long while later before it finally gritted its teeth and said, How could the Domain Lord have the time to see you? I will remember you. After you step into the Heavenly Sovereign, it is best that you do not come to the forest domain. Otherwise, I will definitely not forgive you." An angry snort was once again transmitted from within the black cloud after its words sounded. Under Xiaoyan's calm gaze, the black cloud finally scattered and turned into a black light before leaving. I can't believe I left just like that." Taking a deep breath, Xiaoyan couldn't help but feel a little stunned. After that, he said to the Star Sky Tablet in his heart, "Thank you very much for what you did just now." If it wasn't for the Star Sky Tablet's attitude, he really wouldn't have the confidence to speak to the azure ancient profound bird. After a while, the solemn voice of the Star Sky Tablet was heard. "What do you mean thank you? Don't talk to me. Why is this great evolution diagram harder to refine than I imagined?" As he spoke, another sharp aura swept past. Hearing this, Xiaoyan's face instantly turned pale. He couldn't help but grit his teeth. This bastard, it turned out that he had never paid any attention to him since the beginning. After sulking for a while in the void, Xiaoyan shook his head helplessly. After all this time, he had misunderstood. This fellow didn't pay any attention to the situation he was in just now. "I say, that black bird just now was a guardian of the forest domain. If you capture me and find out that you are in my body, you will be in big trouble if you tell those people from the heavens." After adjusting his thoughts, Xiaoyan flew towards a certain direction, his tone full of complaints. After a long time, just as Xiaoyan felt bored, the Star Sky Tablet suddenly snorted and said, "Tell the heavens. You have overestimated them too much. There is a vacant position in the domain lord now. Besides those protectors, there are countless people who are interested in this position. Even if they find out about it, they will only act in secret to support their own people to take the position, in order to maximize their benefits." After a pause, the Star Sky Tablet sneered again. "Besides, even if they can make me yield, how can they make the Moon Heavenly Pen submit to them? The geniuses of Star Moon are sacred items that can suppress the fate of the star field. Unless there is a war between the two domains, it is impossible for what I said to happen." Hearing this, Xiaoyan couldn't help but nod his head. In order to control the domain, one must obtain the recognition of the Moon Heavenly Pen and the Star Sky Tablet. Even if the forest domain seized the Star Sky Tablet, they wouldn't be able to obtain the recognition of the Moon Heavenly Pen. If they wanted to obtain the Moon Heavenly Pen, they would have to offend the heavens. At that time, the disaster that would befall the two domains would be devastating. Let's take a step back. The domain lord of Forest Domain, Kang Ji Yu Qingwang, and Feng Qingwang are not simple. They will never return the Moon Heavenly Pen to the star domain so easily. Unknowingly, he had said a lot. The Star Sky Tablet smacked its lips as if it was still unsatisfied. Then, it said in a deep voice, "Try not to disturb me during this period of time. The Great Evolution Map has been refined to a critical stage. If I can successfully absorb it, I should be able to recover half of my strength." All right. When he heard this, Xiaoyan's heart jerked, and he couldn't help but heave a sigh of relief. The stronger the strength of the Star Sky Tablet was, the more confidence he had to head to the heavens. After ending the conversation with the Star Sky Tablet, Xiaoyan raised his eyes and let out a cold snort. His body moved slightly, and he flew towards the place where the Lei clan was located. Without the leader, such a large family wouldn't be destroyed so easily. He had always felt guilty about the death of Lian Yunhai and his daughter, and he was thinking of ways to remedy it. At this moment, the Linxing city was in complete chaos. The news of Lei Xingyun and Lei Xingtian's death swept across like a hurricane, causing the entire city to explode. All the big shots who came to congratulate them were dumbfounded, and even those who hadn't seen it with their own eyes couldn't believe it. The two heavenly sovereign who had the power to rule the world a moment ago had actually died in the hands of that young man? In an instant, Xiaoyan's name and appearance had been deeply imprinted in everyone's minds. He was able to kill a heavenly sovereign with a swift and fierce attack. In Forest Domain, except for the few great guardians, no one else was a match for him. For a moment, a crazy idea flashed across everyone's mind. If this guy wanted to establish his own sect in the Forest Domain, given his ability and age, he was afraid that no one would be able to shake his position for the next thousands of years. To the Lei clan, the fall of two heavenly sovereign was like a bolt of lightning that struck a clear sky. It caused the faces of all the elders to turn pale. They looked at each other in dismay. Without the deterrence of the two heavenly sovereign, no one knew what kind of crazy actions these people who came to congratulate and harbor evil intentions would make. The situation in Forest Domain, which had been peaceful for 100 years, would most likely be completely messed up. With the foundation of Lei Clan, although they wouldn't be reduced to the role of being bullied by others, the disastrous consequences would be enough to make countless people's faces change. Great Elder, what should we do? Within the collapsed ruins of the Lei Clan, all the upper echelons of the Thundercloud Clan were present. Each of them had a serious expression on their faces, and some of them even had pale faces, as if they had lost their backbone. As proud as they were, there was nothing they could do. All of them were looking at an old man in the middle, as if they were ants on a hot pan. Hiss! The Great Elder closed his eyes and took a deep breath. His heart was filled with complicated emotions. The death of Lei Xingtian and Lei Xingyun had been witnessed by countless of people. They had even attracted the protectors of Forest Domain. There was no chance of survival. In just half a day's time, the unexpected change had left him at a loss for what to do. That bastard! If I knew this would happen today, I would have eliminated him completely. A fat old man said with a gloomy expression, as if he had failed to live up to his expectations. It's quite lively. Are you waiting for me? His voice had just sounded when a clear voice suddenly sounded by everyone's ears. It was like the whimper of a malicious spirit seeking its life. All of their expressions changed drastically as they looked at the sky in horror. Xiao Yan, the Great Elder, gritted his teeth. His eyes were filled with anger that couldn't be erased. He wished he could shred this young man in front of him into a million pieces. Who would have thought that this young man, who was carrying 3,000 lightning monarch flames and was being chased by a few insignificant elders of the Lei Clan, would actually stand in the sky above them and ask this question from above? Those two old men are dead. If the Lei Clan still wants to stay, I advise you to save your strength. If you anger me, I will slaughter your entire clan. Xiao Yan sneered when he saw the performance of the elders below. Although his injuries from the battle with Lei Xingtian hadn't healed yet, he was still facing these monarch cultivation elders. He had unlimited confidence. Since you aren't here to slaughter my race, what are you doing here? Hearing Xiao Yan's words, the Great Elder gritted his teeth and was the first to regain his calm. He blocked the other elders' line of sight and spoke in a cold voice. About 10 years ago, after I left, who was the one who killed the father and daughter of the Falling Rock City? Xiao Yan's expression calmed down, and his cold voice rang in everyone's ears. How would we know about such a small matter? Hearing this, the Great Elder let out a bitter laugh. 2 heavenly sovereign warriors were killed because of a pair of weak father and daughter in desolate border city. Xiao Yan furrowed his brows, and a trace of killing intent flashed across his eyes. He looked deeply at the people below, then turned around and left. The direction he was heading towards was the Falling Rock City. The Falling Rock City looked like it had been more than 10 years ago. The only difference was that some of the people in the city had changed. After slowly walking out of the Falling Rock City, Xiao Yan remained silent. There was a trace of tiredness between his brows. When he arrived at a small hill outside the city, Xiao Yan gently closed his eyes. A trace of pain was emitted from his heart. Not long after he escaped from the Forest Domain, the people of the Lei Clan had arrived at the Falling Rock City and were interrogating him about his whereabouts. At that time, he didn't even know where he was going, and even Hai Yun couldn't say anything about it. Qin Wei and his son were killed on the spot, and were dragged into this matter. Because of this, they lost their lives. As for Yun Ya, she was forced to spend the night by an elder of the Lei Clan. She bit her tongue and committed suicide. She died. On the hill, Xiao Yan was standing alone. This was the first time the Xiaoao had seen Xiao Yan like this. It hesitated and didn't dare to speak. It didn't know how to persuade him. Until the sun set in the west, Xiao Yan slowly raised his head. In front of him was the anxious expression of the Xiaoao. Let's go. Killing intent flashed across his eyes. Xiao Yan turned around and left without looking back. Where are we going? The Xiaoao hurriedly followed and asked doubtfully. We're going to kill people. We must kill those who are related to what happened in the past 10 years. Xiao Yan's face was expressionless. He was unusually calm, and this was the only thought in his mind right now. All right, the Xiaoao grinned. As long as Xiao Yan was fine, who cares about him? No matter what he did, he had no unconditional support. While the news of the death of 2 heavenly sovereign from the Lei Clan was still spreading like wildfire, there was also the news of the death of several city lords and princesses. Of course, compared to the previous shocking event that shook the entire prefecture, the latter was merely a tiny wave in the roaring ocean, and it didn't attract much attention. Although some of the palace masters were confused about this matter, after seeing a flame mark that looked like a bolt of lightning at the scene, they were stunned for a moment, as if they had suddenly thought of something, and their faces instantly changed. They hurriedly covered up the matter and did not pursue the matter any further. Along with the great loss of Lei Clan's strength, many major powers in the forest domain began to stir. A huge change in the structure of the forest domain was about to happen. Xiao Yan didn't vent his anger on the Lei Clan anymore. A dead man couldn't be brought back to life. The two heavenly sovereign from the Lei Clan had already paid the price for this. It was meaningless to kill too many of the others. The few people from the Lei Clan who had gone to the Falling Rock City were standing in front of the higher-ups of the Lei Clan. After being burned to ashes by Xiao Yan, all of this had happened. Hong Long, Xiao Yan's decisiveness in killing made the people of Lei Clan feel a chill in their hearts. No one would doubt his ruthlessness. Apart from sorrow, they could only rejoice that the core force of Lei Clan still existed. Although they couldn't fight for the position of the overlord of Forest Domain within 100 years, they still had the ability to protect themselves in the face of such a huge change in the situation. They spent about 3 days in Forest Domain to settle all the karma. On an unknown mountain, they once again paid homage to Lien Yunhai and his daughter. After Qin Wei and his son left, Xiao Yan's face was expressionless as he rushed towards the star domain. Li Daoyuan should have found out from Xiao Wang that he had returned. If he didn't go to Spiritual Sky City now, the old man would probably go crazy from anger. Although he didn't suffer any serious injuries after killing 2 heavenly sovereign-level experts, it was still quite tricky. He thought of what Su Ziyang had said. Sang Yu would have the strength of an early monarch cultivation warrior in the future. To think that Sang Yu could defeat a heavenly sovereign warrior. This unbelievable strength made him tremble with fear. The tyrannical king physique was known as the #1 physique since ancient times. It was born to fight, and since it was not afraid of a heavenly sovereign. This meant that even this physique couldn't be broken through by the heavenly Tao. Thinking of this, Xiao Yan could only sigh in admiration. He had the yin and yang fusion origin qi, and only then could he resist the power of the heavenly Tao of a heavenly sovereign like Lei Xingtian. The tyrannical heavenly king body was born with this ability. No one could envy him. When Xiao Yan was heading to the star field with mixed feelings, he didn't expect that the news of him killing 2 heavenly sovereign from the Lei Clan would spread like a tidal wave. The news that could make everyone's facial expression change was nothing more than a change in the structure of their forces, or the rise of some kind of powerful figure. In the star field, although the Thundercloud clan was ambitious and wanted to replace the Shao clan, they had never given them an official response. To them, the wishful thinking of the Thundercloud clan couldn't arouse their interest. About a year ago, in the Heaven Divine Mountain of Mingan Divine Domain, the news of the reincarnation of the ancient sovereign had shocked every domain. Even now, the enthusiasm of the people hadn't diminished by much. Now, the death of 2 heavenly sovereign warriors from the forest domain had made everyone feel even more excited. Heavenly sovereign warriors were considered supreme existences in this era where all saints had withered away. They controlled the power of the heavenly Tao, and no matter where they were, they would always be a giant. Even so, the death of an ordinary heavenly sovereign would only affect one side. However, the death of a monarch cultivation warrior was enough to cause a huge sensation. The gap between heavenly sovereign and monarch cultivation was an insurmountable gap. The former used the heavenly Tao law to communicate with the power of the heaven and earth. This kind of power was the most terrifying for those below the heavenly sovereign. Under the heavenly sovereign, all living beings were ants, and it wasn't as simple as it sounded. According to the historical records, those below the heavenly sovereign were suppressed by those above them, and those who killed heavenly sovereign were few and far between. Moreover, the names of these people shocked the world, including Sacred Lord Yin Yang. This news was just a topic of conversation for ordinary people, but for most people, it was an extremely shocking thing. In today's era, many major powers in the star domain had silently acknowledged Sang Yu as the #1 youth in the younger generation of the Sang clan. The reason was because of his tyrannical heavenly king body. He was able to kill heavenly sovereign warriors with the strength of a monarch cultivation warrior, but now, a young man called Xiaoyan had emerged. He also possessed the same strength. Furthermore, he had killed 2 heavenly sovereign warriors. In this era where the undercurrents were surging, the tyrannical heavenly king body that was supposed to be invincible in the great world, could it be that he had a worthy opponent? Everyone who knew the severity of the matter felt a chill in their hearts. It was only because this young man's surname was Xiao that these major powers found out about the relationship between Xiaoyan and the Yunluo Academy and even the Xiao clan. After Sang Yu's tyrannical heavenly king physique, when did such a monstrous genius appear in the Xiao clan? Compared to the other major powers, the name of Xiaoyan was just a vague rumor. The Yunluo Academy had won the first place in the 4 academies competition, and the heavens had personally issued an imperial decree. Although he had a powerful background, it was only limited to a small group of major powers. The competition was like a child's play, and it couldn't arouse the interest of most people. Compared to Sang Yu, the reputation of this so-called number 1 young man wasn't worthy of his name. The current situation was completely different. Killing 2 heavenly sovereign by himself was enough to shock everyone. In just a short period of time, undercurrents were surging in their minds. There were many people who had different thoughts. Perhaps, an existence that could rival the tyrant heavenly king body had risen to power? Sang Yu had been in battle domain for many years. He was mysterious and had the protection of a mighty figure. However, Xiaoyan was currently in a star domain. This was a great opportunity that couldn't be missed by many major powers. Spiritual Sky City's Alchemist Association. When Xiaoyan stepped into this place once again, Li Daoyuan had already rushed out to welcome him. Ignoring the gazes of the surrounding people, he grabbed Xiaoyan's shoulder and said while gnashing his teeth in anger, "Good kid, you are finally here. If you still didn't come, I would have gone to Forest Domain to find you myself." Xiaoyan smiled bitterly and took Li Daoyuan's hand away. Without changing his expression, he said, "What are you going to the Forest Domain for? Didn't I come here? The big news about you going to Forest Domain has already spread. I can't believe that you have become so strong. Killing 2 heavenly sovereign warriors is really something." Li Daoyuan laughed out loud and patted Xiaoyan's shoulder with all his strength. Then he spoke in a mysterious tone. "Now, you have become famous. We have seen the seal of the battle between you and 2 heavenly sovereign warriors from the Lei clan. You do have some skills." "Seal?" Xiaoyan was stunned for a moment, then he shook his head. He had never thought that someone would record their battle. This time, it was just like what Li Daoyuan had said, his name had spread far and wide. "Come in and talk." After pulling Xiaoyan along, Li Daoyuan took the lead and walked towards the depths of the Alchemist Association. Xiaoyan had no choice but to follow him. Along the way, he saw many familiar faces. "Teacher told me to remind you that he wants you to leave the star field after you join the pill competition. You must not stay here." Seeing that there was no one around, Li Daoyuan suddenly spoke in a low voice with a serious look on his face. "Why?" Hearing this, Xiaoyan's footsteps couldn't help but pause, somewhat stunned. Li Daoyuan's teacher was Lao Qianwan, who had fought with the law enforcers of Nether Domain. Lao Qianwan had reached the Heavenly Sovereign more than 10 years ago. However, he didn't know why he would say this. "Sang Yu of Sang Clan, do you know?" Li Daoyuan narrowed his eyes and didn't answer Xiaoyan's question. Seeing Xiaoyan nod his head, Li Daoyuan revealed a mysterious smile and spoke in a deep voice. "Back then, Sang Yu killed a heavenly sovereign when he was only at the monarch cultivation. Just like you, he also shocked countless people. After that, do you know what happened?" He frowned. Xiaoyan shook his head. Why was his matter related to Sang Yu? Later on, when he returned to the Sang clan was almost destroyed. Even he was seriously injured. Later, a mysterious expert came out and rescued him. This was the reason why the Sang clan was able to settle down. "What?" Xiaoyan couldn't help but exclaim. His eyes widened as he looked at Li Daoyuan in disbelief. Why didn't Su Ziyang tell him about this? The star domain is one of the 3 primitive domains. I don't know how deep the water is. The reason why Sang Yu is in the battle domain is because of his good training. However, he is hiding from the attacks of these people. Perhaps, he will only dare to come back when he is truly powerful. You are the same as him. Killing a heavenly sovereign with the strength of a monarch cultivation is a rare genius in the world. In the future, you will be hunted down endlessly. They will never let you rise again. You will only bring disaster to Shao Clan and Yunluo Academy in the Star Domain. So, you have to leave. Li Daoyuan's voice was low and powerful. Xiao Yan's expression involuntarily changed when he heard it. It was a long while later before he spoke in a doubtful voice. The Sang clan has almost been wiped out. Why hasn't anyone mentioned such a big matter? Whether it was Su Ziyang, Mu Yuyang, or the others. When mentioning the Sang clan, it had always revolved around Sang Yu. They didn't pay much attention to this power, which was also one of the 4 great families of the Shao clan, but when they were talking about the 4 academies competition. Sang Hao and Sang Shoshan, who came from the Sang clan, had never mentioned this matter. Besides, if the Sang clan really suffered such a great catastrophe, given the strength of the Thundercloud clan, how could they not seize the opportunity to attack? You, why don't you understand? Li Daoyuan shook his head and said word by word, my teacher was from the Sang clan. The great elder of the guest department had personally experienced this. The second night after Sang Yu returned, something unexpected happened, forcing the higher-ups of the Sang clan. How could an ordinary person know about this? If Sang Yu hadn't been rescued by the mysterious man at the last moment, I'm afraid that the Sang clan would have been removed from the great world. Xiao Yan's throat felt dry when he heard this. What Li Daoyuan said seemed to make sense. If what Li Daoyuan said was true, only the higher-ups of Sang clan would know about this matter, and no one else would know about it. Who did it? Xiao Yan couldn't help but ask in a low voice. Since Great Master Lao Qianwan came back alive, this also meant that those bastards didn't kill all of them. Their only goal was Sang Yu. This teacher didn't say anything about it, but this matter involves too much. Think about it carefully. The 4 major families can be considered as the top powers in the star field. There are still people who can threaten them. If the Sang clan is like this, what can the Shao clan and Yunluo Academy do to protect you? Li Daoyuan walked quickly and spread his hands. His expression was solemn. Xiao Yan pursed his lips and followed behind Li Daoyuan without saying a word. In the silent passageway, only the footsteps of 2 people could be heard. Could it be that it was done by the heavens? Just as they were about to walk out of the passageway, Xiao Yan suddenly opened his mouth and asked worriedly. If it was really the protectors of the heavens, it would be a huge problem. He still wanted to make a trip to the heavens. In this way, he was afraid that the pill competition wouldn't dare to participate. The heavens? I don't think so. They are guarding the peace of the star field. Under normal circumstances, they wouldn't make a move. Li Daoyuan shook his head solemnly. He didn't slow down his pace at all. When he walked out of the passageway, the scene that appeared in front of him made his eyes light up. In front of him was an exquisite courtyard. The environment was quiet and serene. The small courtyard seemed to have an entirely different world, making one feel relaxed and relaxed. Teacher has been waiting for you for a long time. This time, the pill competition involves a lot of things. He will explain them to you one by one. Li Daoyuan walked to an elegant hut in the courtyard. He whispered to Xiao Yan and then opened the door. Xiao Yan's mouth was slightly bitter and his eyes were complicated. He followed Li Daoyuan into the room. It wasn't the heavens, but what kind of power could force Sang Yu to leave Battle Domain? The layout of the small room was simple. An old man with a white beard was leisurely leaning on a bamboo chair. The window next to him was opened, and he could feel the cool breeze blowing at him. Teacher. Li Daoyuan came in front of the old man and bowed respectfully. Xiao Yan greets Master Lu. Xiao Yan had a good impression of Lao Qianwan, so he greeted him respectfully. You're here. Lao Qianwan opened his eyes and smiled in relief when he saw Xiao Yan. He glanced at Li Daoyuan, who nodded and walked out quickly. Great master. Xiao Yan took a deep breath and was about to ask his question when Lao Qianwan waved his hand with a smile. I know what you want to ask. You came all the way back from Forest Domain and killed 2 heavenly sovereign warriors. This is a big deal. Xiao Yan smiled bitterly and said helplessly. However, 2 heavenly sovereign warriors have caused such chaos. Director Li said that I should leave the star field for now. But 2 heavenly sovereign? You really have a big mouth. Even if it's the Starfield Prefecture, you still have a big mouth. There are only 2 heavenly sovereign warriors, me and Master Wu. This is still a very rare case. Most of them are still monarch cultivation warriors. Tell me, what do you think? You, a monarch cultivation, can actually kill a heavenly sovereign. How can you not be shocked? Lao Qianwan shook his head and stood up from the bamboo chair. Sang Yu only killed one, but he was forced to go to battle domain. You killed 2 of them, but you didn't leave the star domain. Are you going to wait for them to come and kill you? Them? Who are they? Xiao Yan raised his brows and asked in a deep voice. Some people who are afraid of your rise. Lao Qianwan smiled bitterly, patted Xiao Yan's shoulder and said, the 4 big families are definitely not the top powers in the star field. You should know that even some unknown small sects might have terrifying strength. Xiao Yan's heart sank. He thought of the Green Lotus Sword sect. That small force now had an awakened supreme saint. In the star domain, a power on the same scale as the Green Lotus Sword sect. Even if there weren't 1,000, there would still be 800 of them, although it was impossible for every force to have a supreme saint. However, many forces were not to be underestimated. Back when the Soul Demon was wreaking havoc, many of the prominent factions had fallen because of it. However, the hidden resources might be revealed at some point in time. Don't worry, the matter of the pill competition will be handled by the heavens themselves. No matter how arrogant those people are, they won't make a move in front of the heavens. Therefore, you can be at ease. However, after the pill competition, you have to leave. After saying that, a trace of seriousness flashed across Lao Qianwan's face. Xiao Yan, there is one thing that needs to be considered by you. What? As he spoke, Xiao Yan's heart moved. He seemed to have felt a cold laugh coming from the star sky tablet. Regarding this pill competition, you have already attracted the attention of those people. I'm sure they will pay attention to you in the pill competition. The news of your possession of the Monarch Flame can't be hidden from them. Besides, if you have achieved an outstanding result in the pill competition, they might want to get rid of you even more urgently. After saying that, Lao Qianwan took a deep breath and stopped talking. He stared at Xiao Yan, waiting for the latter to make his decision. Xiao Yan was silent. He could tell that there was something hidden in Lao Qianwan's words. If he obtained a good result, he would definitely be hunted down by even more terrifying people. If he withdrew himself from the pill competition, he might not be valued by some people. However, the result of doing so was that the Spirit Heaven Mansion had failed in the pill competition this time. Alright, old man, you don't have to say anymore. God, I have to go. Xiao Yan grinned and said in a clear voice. He had the star sky tablet in his body, and if he went to the heavens, he would see the moon heavenly pen. Furthermore, to the heavens. He was extremely curious as well. In fact, according to the star sky tablet, there were still many things hidden in the heavens. Perhaps, there was news about Xiao Xiao. No matter what, he had to obtain a good ranking in the pill competition. He had to strive to step into the heavens. Anyway, he would be hunted down by those people, and he wouldn't have to worry about too many debts. So, he would just let them do whatever they wanted. Okay. The smile in Lao Qianwan's eyes became even brighter. His snow-white beard was trembling. He patted Xiao Yan's shoulder heavily and said in an excited tone. Now, let me tell you some news about the pill competition. Quote, 2. Lao Qianwan was also in a good mood after receiving Xiao Yan's guarantee. He brought Xiao Yan out of the house and sat on a stone bench beside the stream in the middle of the courtyard. He pointed at the stone bench next to him and gestured for Xiao Yan to sit down. He looked around him. Xiao Yan sat down without hesitation. Although the courtyard was small, the environment was very elegant. The melancholy in his heart for the past few days was swept away. This time, the pill competition is the largest competition in the star field. It will be hosted by the heavens themselves. There are no restrictions. This means that no matter what level of alchemist they are, they will be able to participate in the competition. I'm afraid that those old fogies who have made a name for themselves will also be able to participate in the competition. Lao Qianwan narrowed his eyes and said in a deep voice. Wait, since there are no restrictions, then old man, aren't you also allowed to participate in the competition? Hearing this, Xiao Yan was stunned and blurted out. If there are no restrictions, it doesn't mean that you are messing around. Shaking his head, Lao Qianwan said with a smile, the pill competition in the star field. This also meant that only alchemists who represented the various prefectures in the star field could participate in the competition. Therefore, those old fellows who are in seclusion. It was very likely that they would join some of the prefectural alchemist associations to gain the qualifications to participate in the competition. Guilds like us, who are registered as guild leaders, no longer have the qualifications to participate in the competition. Xiao Yan nodded his head. If those powerful figures who lived in seclusion wanted to participate in the pill competition, there would definitely be countless alchemist associations from the prefecture that would fight for them. In this way, there wouldn't be any incidents that would cause the pearl to be covered in dust. Oh right, our Spirit Heaven Mansion has also recruited a master alchemist who can concoct a Tier 7 medicine pill. Back to the main topic, Lao Qianwan's eyes flashed with a bright light as he spoke slowly. Tier 7? What's a rank 7? Xiao Yan was surprised and asked curiously. The yin-yang profound transformation pill he refined back then had already reached the peak of the 7th grade. It was also the level of the 7th grade 7-star medicine pill. However, in order to break through this step, even if he had the 9 dragons flame cauldron, he would not be able to do it unless his spiritual strength had a substantial breakthrough. Or perhaps, he would be able to grasp a better medicine cauldron. You will know when the time comes. This great alchemist is called Yi Feng. He was also a guest elder of the Spirit Heaven Mansion's Alchemist Guild a few decades ago, just like you. When he was young, he was the champion of the Spirit Heaven Mansion's pill competition. Later, because of some conflicts, now that the pill competition was about to arrive in the star field, he wanted to participate. We also need a master alchemist to join us. That's all. After we took a step back from each other, the grudge from a few decades ago has been settled. After roughly introducing Yi Feng's situation, Lao Qianwan once again said in a deep voice, the initial stage of the pill competition is set to be in half a month's time. It will be held in the Heavenly Medicine Prefecture in the middle of the star field. The pill competition will be divided into 3 rounds. The first round will be for all participants to enter the Heavenly Medicine Mountain Range to search for the medicine pill that they want to refine. Stop. Go to the Heavenly Medicine Mountain Range to search for herbs? I have heard of the Heavenly Medicine Mountain Range. Although it is a famous medicinal herb holy land in the star field, the medicinal herbs used to refine some Tier 7 medicine pills are so rare. How can a Heavenly Medicine Mountain Range have all the medicinal herbs? Xiao Yan raised his brows and could not help but say, then wouldn't you be able to refine some in the Heaven Herb Mountain Range? Lao Qianwan smiled and said, what do you think the pill competition is competing against? This is not to provide you with all the medicinal ingredients that you are best at. Instead, it will change according to the situation. Hearing this, Xiao Yan opened his mouth and nodded helplessly. In this way, there was no problem. The Heavenly Medicine Mountain Range is very dangerous. Don't be careless when you enter it. There are so many alchemists here, it's already considered not bad if half of them can come out. As long as you don't go too far, the heavens won't interfere. Finally, Lao Qianwan reminded, killing people and seizing their treasures, as well as settling personal grudges at the same time. Xiao Yan nodded. He naturally knew what Lao Qianwan meant. Although those old men were hidden from the world, none of them had any old enemies. It was the perfect time to strike at this moment. The second round, the soul competition. Lao Qianwan pondered for a moment before he shook his head and said, the heavens did not elaborate on the specifics of this round. In short, entering the Heavenly Medicine Mountain Range, no matter what, you must keep your life. Moreover, don't be too constrained by a kind of medicine pill. Strive to choose the ingredients from the medicinal herbs in your hands and refine the best medicine pill. Got it. After knowing the location of the first round of the competition, Xiao Yan pursed his lips. He nodded slightly. The sect closest to the Heavenly Medicine Mountain Range seemed to be the Spirit Fire Palace where Zhu Tianwo was. After conversing with Lao Qianwan for a while, the door of the courtyard suddenly opened. Li Daoyuan walked in with a smile on his face. Behind him was a middle-aged man in a green robe with a cold expression. The middle-aged man had white sideburns and his black hair was mixed with a lot of white hair. There were a few wrinkles on his forehead. Master Lu. The middle-aged man stood still. His eyes first swept across Xiao Yan, then he slightly cupped his fists towards Lao Qianwan. This is the other great master alchemist I told you about, Yi Feng. Seeing the middle-aged man walk in, Lao Qianwan smiled brightly and introduced him. This young man is called Xiao Yan. He will represent the Spirit Heaven Mansion in this competition. I hope the two of you can help each other as much as possible. After Lao Qianwan finished speaking, Xiao Yan smiled at Yi Feng without saying anything. Yi Feng's expression remained indifferent. After learning Xiaoyan's name from Lao Qianwan, he turned his eyes back to Xiaoyan. He suddenly frowned and spoke in a deep voice after a long time. Xiaoyan, the guy who killed 2 heavenly sovereign warriors in Forest Domain, could it be you? After hearing what Yi Feng said, Xiaoyan was stunned for a moment, and then his heart sank. Just like what Li Daoyuan had said, the scene of him and Lei Xingtian fighting had already been spread out. The guy in front of him actually recognized him with a single glance. That's right. Lao Qianwan glanced at Xiaoyan and replied in his stead. Indeed, a young man is born with a hero. Little brother, I admire you. Hearing this, Yi Feng couldn't help but take a deep breath. The way he looked at Xiaoyan no longer showed any signs of contempt. This matter will spread across the starfield sooner or later. It's getting late now. All of you, pack up and leave tomorrow morning. Lao Qianwan waved his hand and looked at Li Daoyuan. The latter nodded and said, the transportation array can be activated at any time. We will arrive at the Heavenly Medicine Mountain Range in about a day. Xiaoyan came back to his senses and looked at Yi Feng. He forced a smile and said, I was just lucky. Yi Feng took a deep look at Xiaoyan. When he heard this, he only smiled and did not say anything else. What a joke. Lucky? Since ancient times, there were countless geniuses who were lucky enough to succeed. After this matter was over, Xiaoyan no longer had anything to worry about. This time, he and Yi Feng were the only ones who had gone there. The token that indicated the identity of the Spirit Heaven Mansion had nothing to do with the others. Thinking of this, Xiaoyan told Li Daoyuan about the Spirit Sky City. He asked him to go and greet Xiao Wang when he had time. If someone from the Spirit Sky City came, they would want to join the Purple Radiance sect. No matter what, he had to accept it. Li Daoyuan naturally didn't reject Xiaoyan's request. He promised that if he had the time, he would also go to the Spirit Sky City to give some guidance. With Li Daoyuan's promise, Xiaoyan's heart finally relaxed. All the matters here had been resolved. After that, he would wholeheartedly participate in the pill competition.